Are you ready?
Now, around £300 a year could be saved by the average homeowner by taking action to make their homes more energy efficient, so says the Energy Saving Trust. And here's another figure from them. £800 million would be saved every year if cavity walls were in all houses where it was possible. Well, against that backdrop, it's perhaps not surprising that the Trust is urging us all to take what they call energy-saving action at the start of this Energy Saving Week. That means, for example, investigating available grants, switching off appliances, or turning down the thermostat. It's all part of a wider attempt by the government to reduce the UK's carbon emissions by 80% of their 1990 levels by the year 2050. And it's not just about the environment. Poor energy efficiency is one of the main causes of fuel poverty. But are current attempts to reduce carbon emissions and in turn tackle fuel poverty effective enough? Well, the Stockholm Environment Institute in York says not. They've produced a report. Dr. John Barrett is one of the authors. John Barrett, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Why did you carry out the study and why did you pick Leeds to do it?
To try and get a clear understanding of what an 80% reduction really meant. What is the scale of change that we need in terms of potentially retrofitting old houses, in terms of changing behaviour, in terms of renewable energy, new buildings, knocking down old houses, etc., etc.
And what did you find?
Well, we found that an 80% reduction in the housing sector is a significant challenge, and currently the kind of thinking and the level that we're at simply will not deliver the reduction that's required. So of the 80%, then, we worked out that we really need to carry out a significant retrofit plan which will deliver between about 50 to 60% of the required reduction, which really means getting into virtually 90% of houses in the Leeds City region and making significant changes. Cavity wall insulation, new boilers, double glazing, draft proofing, and so on and so on.
So unless we apply the same rules to older properties that we now apply to ones that we are building today, we cannot meet these targets?
Without a doubt. Actually really extremely high standards in new buildings could only contribute roughly 10% to the required reduction. It is the retrofit which will make the big difference. And somehow we've got to work out how we're going to get into all these houses and make significant changes. And some people are doing it.
And against the backdrop of what you have just said, how much meaningful contribution then can something like Energy Saving Week make to this wider picture? Well, meaning of course, but if we do turn things down, switch things off, does it actually make much difference?
Yeah, well, we put down that we believe that about 20–25% of the target could be achieved by people changing their behaviour. If you took two houses that were exactly the same in every way, you could find 20–30% difference in the energy use simply because one person has their thermostat at a lower temperature, they turn the heating off in rooms they're not using during the day, they turn the heating off when they're not in the house, they don't leave things on standby, they have showers and baths, and all of these can make a difference. So I think public awareness raising is just as important as the other issues and must remain on the agenda.
It's fascinating timing this as well. We hear from the Chancellor, of course, at these difficult economic times that it's still time to spend. And one of the things he might look to spend money on is public works, so that when we emerge from this likely recession, that things will be in the right position for us to move on. Now, should his programme of public works include this? And should that be right at the top?
Well, it has been hinted upon, so it's not something which they've never thought about. They do recognise the fact and often connected it with the fuel poverty agenda. So we've often seen that a short-term solution for fuel poverty is giving money to people in that situation to ensure that they can afford the basic requirements for living. But the long-term solution, which delivers lower energy and ensures that people aren't in fuel poverty, is to get inside their homes and retrofit them so they're comfortable and warm all year round, irrespective of their level of income. So that's been mentioned, and hopefully that will become a more significant issue in the future.
Thank you very much, Dr. John Barrett from the Stockholm Environment Institute, with some serious points about what we need to be doing to meet carbon emission targets and in turn tackle fuel poverty. But are we missing the point with things like Energy Saving Week to some extent, which does put the onus inevitably on individuals?